Hello and welcome back to Catherine's Granny Squares, where I show you how to do granny squares and more. Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple cowl, especially now the weather's changing and it's very autumnal. So on the table you'll see the start of a cowl, and this is the one we're going to be focusing on today. This is going to be made in back loop only UK terms for double crochet, and I've also got one which was made with treble stitch, and this one was half treble. So we're going to use a super chunky, this is a Mariner's. If you haven't got a super chunky yarn, you can use 2 strands of chunky. You can mix and match colours and make it more fun. The biggest hook I have is a 15. I'm going to use that today. So normally you would use a 10 upwards for super chunky, but I want the cowl to be nice and drapey. So we start off by the chains. Now this is where you can customize your cowl because it depends how you want to wear it. I like mine quite drapey, so I am going to aim for 44 chains. Now you may want more or less, as I say, it is a personal preference. So I'll just finish these last few. It's not as easy working with a big hook if you haven't done that before, so it's just a case of doing it nice and slowly and putting these big chains on. When you're happy with the amount of chains you've got, you can check by putting it round your neck. Make sure you can take it on and off easy, especially if you wear glasses. You don't want to be catching the glasses. And now we need to join. So this is the bit where we just take a little bit of care to make sure we're not going to be kinking the chains, and we join with a slip stitch to the first chain we made. And if we join, getting both strands in there, and we need to just join with a slip stitch. And then you've got your cowl necklace almost. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work in the back loop only. So when you look at the chain, you've got the part at the bottom, and then you've got almost like a V on the top. So the back loop is the one furthest away from you. So you've done your 1 chain, so we go into the back loop with a UK double crochet. And then it's a good idea, if you've got a little stitch marker or another piece of yarn, just to mark that first stitch. So not the chain, the first stitch, and we'll need that when we join. So we work our way around, find the back loop. This first row will be your most fiddly row of this cowl. after this it will be a whiz. Just give myself a little bit more yarn there. So just take care as you go along to get the back loop. Just take your time. You may have to just play around with this yarn to make sure you get it on this big hook, but once you've achieved your first round, this will work up in no time. So it's the loop furthest away from you, and that's the back loop. You'll see in patterns B, L, O, back loop only. Just keep going round. If you haven't got a 15 hook, a big hook, and the super chunky yarn, or as I said at the beginning, you can put 2 strands of chunky together. So that is an option. I'm just using my finger to feel the loop and bring it out a bit to make it easier. Let's just stop for a moment and show you. I was going to do a tiny sample, but then I thought, no, what I'll do is I will do 1 row going round of this first row, just to demonstrate, to keep at it, just to get that first initial row started. Then we'll do another, this is the foundation row, like the first row if you like, and then I want to show you how to join, and it's so simple, you know, after that you'll be off. See how it's coming on nicely. Just keep going round. Don't rush. Just take your time. Get those back loops onto the hook. And we're nearly there. Try and work loosely if you can. Sorry, I had to keep getting more yarn there. How are we doing? We're nearly there. As you see, it doesn't take long. And the big hook, although it's awkward, this first part, it does help by getting the loops on and keeping them as loose as possible, rather than a small hook which might be a bit tight. Are you still with me, people, as we go round? As I say, I did think, shall I do a small one, but I've opted for this one, so hopefully you are still with me. Still working into the back loop, and we're nearly there. We're nearly there. Just make sure you get that back loop. Now, getting near the end, so we want to keep to our stitch count, and it's near the end, you have to be aware of your stitches. So I'm going to stop there, just have a quick count, counting this one as the first one, 10, 20, 30, 42. So I'm looking to do 2 more. I do find this bit a little bit fiddly, that's why I like to make sure I've got a count going on there. So back loop there. It's the only fiddly bit, this first row really, and this bit at the end. Just make sure you are getting in the correct number of stitches. And then the joining, so that was your chain there where my thumb is, and that's your first proper stitch. That is where we join, but we go through both strands there, so like a normal double crochet to join. Just a normal double crochet, but you do a slip stitch. It's what I mean is you would not join in the back loop. You would do like you would do a normal double crochet, which would be 2 strands, and we join with a slip stitch. So we're joining with a slip stitch into the first real stitch, not the chain. That's the part really to remember. So then we chain 1, and then we go again, and we go into the back loop. And before we go any further, we just move that stitch marker, so we haven't gone into the chain, we've gone into the proper stitch, the first proper stitch. So we just made our next first proper stitch, and then we go, just put the stitch marker there, a fiddly one, this one, there we are. Quite small stitch markers, you can get bigger ones, just I've got them all in other projects at the moment. So that's my first proper stitch, and then off I'll go again in the back loop. And you can see it's a bit more defined on this second row, you can see the V's more, so it's easier to go in, and we carry on and on and on, and we carry on going in all the back loops of the round. And you can see how much easier this second round is, because it's more defined, it's not so fiddly, and you're off. And just keep going and keep going. And this particular cowl I found with the 44 stitches for me, and with the super chunky and this big hook, you're probably looking at about 15 rows, but that again is your own personal preference. You do the cowl as high as you want it to be. You can fold it over, don't forget. I like a cowl on my neck more and more open at the front, and you can wear it on top of a coat or underneath your lapels. It's up to you what you do. Crochet is personal preference. You can have your pattern and then you can just customize. The other thing I want to say while we're just going around here is that when you've done your cowl, don't think that's it. It's just, you know, your wool, your yarn. You can add buttons down the side, at an angle, at the front, whichever you want, whichever way you want to add them. Big buttons, one big button, personal preference again. Some people put 3 buttons on cowls and that does look effective. And the other thing you can do, and I've done before and I haven't got it, oh yes I have got it, I'll show you when I just go around here, is you can put a pom-pom, which is quite fun. That was a magazine pattern, I think Woman's Weekly, but I can check that and put it in the below. That was quite good fun to do. You can do that, so you can customize it basically as you wish. You can mix and match. If you haven't got a super chunky yarn, you can mix 2 chunkies using 2 strands together, and you could coordinate that. That'd be another fun idea to do. And just talking to you there, you're going to see in a minute, I'm going to be round. You can see how quickly this goes along. Nearly there. And as I get nearer, I always find that these are a little bit harder to work because of where you've joined. You've got your chain and you're just moving along each time, so you're not joining the same place. So just be aware of that. Now I'm going to count again, so just bear with me for the one moment. 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3. So I'm looking for one more to make my stitch count correct. And you see here, you have to ease it along a little bit. And again, before I go, just want to say not to join in your chain 1, but to join in your first proper stitch, going through 2 strands like you would do a normal double crochet, but with a slip stitch. And then that should join, chain 1, and then go off again for your next row in the back loop only. And then you would take your stitch marker out and you would move it along into your first proper stitch. Now is that one going to go in now? Yes, it's behaved that time. So, and we're off. And so squashy, this wool's lovely. Just keep going until you make that cowl as big as you want it to be. I'll just see, this is the one I was saying about. Let's put a pom-pom on, or a couple little pom-poms, one small, one big, and that's quite good fun to wear, that cowl. Okay, so have fun. I hope you enjoy making this cowl, and I hope to see you again soon.